April 2022, Gulfport, Mississippi. Hi, this is Janet, and I'm Sly. Back in 2016, we both decided it was time to stop working, buy an RV, and start traveling the country and the world. And once the RV was pretty much the way we wanted it, we started our travels, and we've been doing it ever since. So join us as we explore this country and the world, and maybe we can even meet up with some of you along the way. We're starting off this week again at the Downtown Bistro, our favorite bar. We are there with Mike and Susan, and also their friend Lori, who is now also a friend of ours. We decided the Downtown Bistro is a good place to go since it's our favorite bar and we can listen to some music. The bar was fun, but the weather finally turned and we are able to go out and enjoy our first hike in quite a while. For our first hike down here in Mississippi, we decided to go to the Wolf River Coastal Preserve. Boy, I'll tell you, after spending the last year and a half hiking out west, this was way different. I mean, this has trees, and they're green, and they're taller than we are. And the terrain is not this rocky, hilly stuff. It's flat, or at least it is for the most part, so it makes hiking way easier. Now, it's been raining here for like the past 3 weeks, so no big surprise that there is some huge puddles out here. After all, this is pretty much swampland, or at least it's lowland. But even though there were some very large puddles and there were areas where it was a little mushy, for the most part, even after all this rain, this trail was pretty nice and fairly dry. After 1.5 miles, we finally made it to the river. We enjoyed the view before turning around and making our way back to the car. So this hike was kind of short, so we decided, hey, let's go ahead and do another hike. For our second hike today, we decided to go to the Enchanted Nature Trail. So this was supposed to be a short 1.5 mile loop, and it was supposed to be really, really pretty, and it kind of did start out that way. But we didn't get in too far before we discovered that this trail had been neglected. I think the last hurricane really wiped it out, and they have not had a chance or the resources to go out and fix it. This trail is really swampy, so it was not surprising to see that there were all sorts of little footbridges that you could use to make it through the swamp without sinking in mud. Unfortunately, most of them were destroyed, so we could not hike this trail. We barely made it in a 1/4 mile before turning around, heading back, and getting a cup of coffee. We stopped at Perk's, had a cup of coffee, and headed on home because we had to get ready for another set of guests. This time, we crossed paths with Mike and Marion. We know Mike and Marion from our stay at Cocoa Beach, Florida at Patrick's Space Force Base. We met them through our friends, Roger and Bonnie, and have tried to keep in touch with them for the past few years as we've traveled. This is not the first time our paths crossed, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time either, because for those of you that watched my last videos, you know that coincidental crossings happen all the time in our world as we travel around this country. It was fun seeing Mike and Marion and just sitting down and enjoying a few snacks while we filled each other in on what's been happening with us since the last time we met. We also talk a little bit about our plans for the upcoming year. As it turns out, Mike and Marion are heading north, but they do intend to be back at Cocoa Beach for this upcoming winter, and so do we. So, we look forward to running across each other yet again this year. After spending a wonderful day with Mike and Marion, the next day, it was time to go out and do another hike. The hike today was at the Tuxachanie hiking trail. And sorry for you locals if I totally butchered the way you say Tuxachanie. Either way, this trail is about 20 miles north of Gulfport, and this was a fun trail. The trail is an out-and-back trail, and it's like 12 miles long, but you don't have to hike the entire 12 miles. Go on out as far as you feel like it, and then turn around and come on back. This trail is a lot like the first trail we hiked, and that is, it's in the lowlands, so it's kind of swampy in places, so all of these little bridges crossing little creeks and swampy areas are all over the place. This trail was maintained way better than the first trail we did, but even then, in some of the places, bridges had been destroyed and all they had out was a couple of boards going across the creeks. Plenty of room, no big deal, at least there was something there so we could hike this trail for quite a distance. While hiking this trail, I learned that Mississippi mud is very slippery because I wiped out while walking alongside a river. So I hurt my shoulder a little bit, but that did not stop us from continuing to hike down this trail. After all, my legs were just fine. So this trail is 12 miles long, but Janet and I did about 3 miles in before turning around and heading on back. All in all, this was a great hike, and it was our favorite hike while here near Gulfport, Mississippi. Hiking through these wooded trails was fun. But today we decided to go ahead and take a walk through downtown Ocean Springs. As usual, when we explore new towns, we like to start the day off with a cup of coffee at one of the local coffee shops. After fueling up with coffee, we took a walk down through the town all the way down to the beach. Ocean Springs has a neat little beach. It's got all sorts of piers that you can walk out, do some fishing, or just relax and enjoy the view. They've also got these same carved trees, and these look really, really nice. Once we finished exploring the beach, we made our way back into town, checked out all of the different shops that they have in Ocean Springs, and eventually stopped to have lunch. Ocean Springs has all sorts of restaurants and all sorts of little shops to explore, and the food here was very, very yummy, so we enjoyed that little break before continuing to walk around town. And the other thing, those trees, they are absolutely beautiful. Today is a new day at Shields RV Park at the CB base in Gulfport, Mississippi. We were told that there's an old abandoned golf course on the other side of the base that has some nice walking trails by the lake. So we took a walk down that way, and they were right. Walking an old abandoned golf course is a lot of fun, and it gets you some exercise. Our time here in Gulfport is quickly coming to an end. So we took one last opportunity to visit our favorite bar at the downtown Bistro and enjoy the company of our friends. Soon, we are all heading our own separate ways. And with that, our stay at Gulfport and this video have come to an end. As always, look down in the description below to get a link to every place we visited, and that way you don't have to work as hard as we did to find these places. Janet and I both hope that you enjoyed this video and so many others of us here in Gulfport. And we also hope that you continue to join us as we explore our next stop.